So growing up as a kid, in Liberia, where access to television was limited at the time, it's either your family is well off, you get your little car battery, and the fluorescent light, and you use the car battery to be able to power up the TV, and that was the way we were able to watch television at the time. So the privileged few, will gather at their houses either by standing by their windows peeping through, or will go to the various video clubs at the time, and once somebody is entering or exiting and they open the curtain, you get to peep the movie for a minute or two. Or you can say, oh, wow, first show, or wow, second show, and third show, second show, and last show. So you pay either $25 or something or the sort, But in all of those things and all of what happened during that time, there was one, I don't want to say flyer, but I want to call it either a calendar or a poster. But there was one poster at the time. Many of you can recall the hunter. Remember that poster? The hunter that had the elephant on his head, the antelope on his back, the deer on his arm, the squirrel on here, the opossum on here. You got everything. His dog get meat, everything in the mouth. But stay. The lake cricket. The cricket that the beggars were trying to get something to eat that day. There's a pictures, they depict a portion of the scene, and a picture can go and tell you 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 words you can come up with. But if you look at the beggars' faces, they were pleading, they were on their knees, they were begging this hunter. Say, hey man, you got everything. You got elephant that you can eat for close to 7 months. You got deer, red deer, black deer. You get squirrel for dessert. You get opossum for appetizer. You get everything you want. But the lake cricket that two beggars come and share, that can't even last us for a day. Small getting protein in our cricket. You bend it down to take that cricket for yourself. While en route to the station, that flashed in my mind. I had a flashback. and I try to compare that picture with the reality on the ground. Amen. You get elephant, you get escort car, you get weekend car, you get 800 gallon of gas, you got everything. But you say your employees, the staff, the cogs in the machine, they should ride onion seated bus. Imagine the pain. Already our road and get potholes and manholes and all of those things. They should ride onion seated bus. Bus that was meant to be an ambulance. And they just put seat inside. So your people should ride that. Where is the humane feeling? Where is the leader should be a follower? Ask yourselves, apart from the photo ops to sit in a bus, when will you ever sit in a bus again? Look at the onion seat. Look at the kind of onion seat. Buy for our people. And we call ourselves leaders. A pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever it is you're listening to us from. You're welcome to midweek's edition of The Pulse. This is the Spoon Network's afternoon program. This is where the heartbeat of the country is heard. We are going to touch every topic, everything, every facet of what's happening in this country, whether politics, whether entertainment, whether sports, whether education, whether the economy. Whatever that happens in Liberia, we'll talk about those things right here on this program. We'll also bring you the newsmakers so you can hear it from the horse's mouth. Liberia. Today, prime on our agenda, what we have planned for you. We have a whole lot lined up, but we'll see if we can exhaust all of those that we have lined up for you. My name is Diamond Slanger, and you definitely welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, pleasant evening to all those of you following us online. And so my people here in Liberia listening to us via Spoon 107.5 FM or Fabric 101.1 and a host of other stations relaying us all across Liberia. We love to say welcome to you. Let's talk Liberia. Let's discuss our country. Why is it this one laid bedroom called Liberia is difficult to decorate? The poor man who's about to get energy to go to work, who's supposed to be incentivized to go to work, who's going to be happy when the boss comes in to carry him to work. Say, yeah. But you see that iron thing coming out, why it be going, you're like, you know, the Korean coming, you can't go on speed because you try to fall down with iron seat inside. But we'll discuss all of that. There's also been a development in the capital arson case. 2 other suspects have been charged and forwarded to court. Melvin Jackson, our judicial reporter, is going to join us on the show, and we'll talk about this new development in the capital arson case. But they said, you bring in witnesses, you bring in suspects. Where is the substantial evidence? This is a criminal case and should be prosecuted and judged beyond all reasonable doubt. Is the state's case ironclad? Is there room for doubts? And how far are we progressing on? We heard big names being labeled and listed as persons of interest. What's happening? These plus many questions we'll seek to answer once Melvin Jackson joins us on the line. You drag me, I drag you, we drag each other. Yeke Koluba has said he's dragging his draggers to court. Let me play that video. Let me get the video. You drag me, I drag you. I drag to drag. So Representative Yeke Koluba, I spoke with him prior to coming on the show. He said he's making his way somewhere. He wouldn't be opportune to speak with us, but we've got the video, and I asked him a question, whether the rate that he prayed for yesterday was gotten. He said no, but we'll see if we can connect with him somewhere on the show to give us more details. But Yeke has said he's dragging his draggers to court. Are the people who dragging? Let me look at that video where, let me see if I can find that video. You know, that video of Representative Koluba being dragged out of session. And he had a press conference where he called himself Bob Bounce Rule Change. Remember that day where he said he would not comport himself and they asked the sergeant at arms to take him out of session. Yeah, let me get that video. So Representative Kaba has said the dragging, that dragging, they didn't sit well with him. So he has run to the court to seek redress concerning that matter. Let me see if I have the video to play, and I'll play his video on yesterday concerning getting redress in the matter at hand. So, folks, we also have a lot at 4 p.m. We'll be joined by Prince Kepler, a former representative aspirant or contestant there in District Number 2, Montserrado County. He has released a very stinging statement against the government of President Joseph Human Boakai, saying that the president and his government have become complicit. They've endorsed corruption, mismanagement of public funds, and is now rescued to luxury. It's now rescued to luxury. And the president has not carried on an approach that instills fear in his lieutenants when it comes to corruption and public waste. There is still the Noka entanglement. Activist Martin Colley says he's unearthing more evidence concerning what has transpired there at Noka. The latest, according to him, is that the board didn't approve the president's CEO's expenditure of $75,000 USD to purchase vehicles, and a contract that was awarded to a company in the tune of over $500,000 United States dollars. But let's listen and see if we can bring on representative. Was dragged outside, by the sergeant at arms and his men. So according to him, I spoke to him briefly prior to coming on the show. He did go to seek redress at the court. Yes, to drag. According to him, he's dragging his draggers to court. That even if they wanted to pull him outside, it shouldn't have been done in a manner for which they dragged him. His feet weren't touching the ground in the air or carry him. So he didn't like it. It didn't look honorable enough for an honorable man. So he has gone to court to seek redress. As to how that will be handled, well, we'll be unable to speak with him at this moment. But let's listen to this excerpt or watch this video as he spoke with pressmen yesterday.
A certain issue, the laws are being disrespected. So we have come to test the law again. I came to issue writ on the people that assaulted me. Our rules are very clear. How a lawmaker can be asked outside. So I came to issue a writ. My lawyers in there, we're trying to issue the writ so they can send for them, so they can read our rules. So Jim Pulen can come and interpret the rules and say what the rule says. They didn't show in the rule book. What in the rule that say I should be dragged outside.
So
those are assaulted me and not my colleagues.
Who actually you suing? Is it the House of Representatives?
Well, I brought the firearm and he called officers to court. I came to issue writ on them. I pray that the writ be respected. We come here because we need to read our rules. We need to work. We need to work in our place according to our rules. The Constitution is very clear. The provision of the Constitution that protect me is very clear. The provision of the Constitution that protect us is very clear. So to see somebody assaulting me, I need redress. So I have come to issue bail. My lawyers in there trying to issue that the bail is issue, so we can start to see what to do.
So we say, what do you stand to benefit from this rate you are issuing?
Well, I want our rules to be respected. The public need to know the provision of our rule that say drag the man out, put the man out. As long as the public know the provision of the rule that say drag the man out, put the man out.
There you have it. Representative Yeke Koluba said he was there yesterday at the courts to get himself a writ to sue the sergeant at arms and his corps of men for dragging him in that kind of way and manner out of session. But when I spoke with him, as I said earlier today, he said the writ wasn't issued. As to why it wasn't, he couldn't tell us, because he said he was on his way somewhere, and he'll give us more details. But the crux of the story is that he has now gone to court, for the sergeant at arms and the chairman on rules, order administration, to tell him where in their rules it says, the honorable man feet shouldn't touch the ground. You should just airlift him like that and pull him outside and all of that. But let's go to Melvin Jackson now. He is our judicial correspondent. As I said, new development in the capital arson saga. 2 new suspects have been charged, and forwarded to court on several counts. Let's connect with Melvin Jackson. He is our judicial correspondent to bring us up to speed with the latest there involving the capital arson case. So that makes it 4 now suspects that have been charged and forwarded to court on several counts. All right, let's bring on Melvin Jackson. Good afternoon to you, Melvin. How are you doing?
I'm okay, Damo, and I'm doing good.
All right. So you've reported that 2 additional suspects have added to the list of individuals, now bringing that number to 4 that have been charged and forwarded to court. Kindly tell us more.
Yeah, so this afternoon, could I say this morning, Damo, the LMP forwarded to court 2 individuals in connection to this capital building and arson case. So according to the police, one Jerry Poka, aka Tari, and one Kevin Ba were also associated with the alleged murder of the Capitol building. So the police said in their investigation that the defendant, one of the defendants, admitted that he was part of discussion, surrounding the burning of the Capitol building, and that he was giving the sum of $100 by defendant Thomas Edrick, who is now in prison, and Eric Cisse. So that money was given to he and his colleague, and that was how they distributed it. And then they had a plan, according to him, that they won't participate in this entire plan they had previously. But then when they went home by 1 to 2 a.m., defendant Cisse and Eric continued to call their phones, and that was how the police said when they by 5 to 6 on the 18th of December, they saw these defendants in the building, wherein they split the gasoline from point to point, and then they used the matches and let it on the gasoline. That was how the Kaba building got into the fire.
Now let's get something straight. So these 2 individuals that you've named that have been forwarded to court, according to the police, they initially planned not to participate, but were later then found on the grounds of the Capitol the morning of the 18th.
Yes, the police said they were later found, on the grounds of the Capitol. In fact, on the 17th, they were part of the discussion, and the incident occurred on the 18th, and that was how they were found, and then they got arrested.
The charges here include arson, release of destructive forces, reckless burning or exploding, endangering or exploding, criminal mischief, recklessly endangering another person, criminal conspiracy, and criminal solicitation. Now, what have they said in their defense? Jerry Poker alias Tariz and Kivi Bar alias Kaba.
So the police say in the charge sheet that co-defendant Poker admitted to be a part of discussion concerning the burning of the capital. So if his admission can can come out from himself, then which means the probably allegedly then know something that surrounds the burning of the capital demo.
Where are they currently?
So as we speak, they are currently here at the Morel City Court. So any moment from now, they will be forwarded to the Morel Central Prison, and they will join our colleague. But like we reported yesterday, tomorrow is the final argument for the preliminary investigations that were conducted. So towards the final argument, then the judge will have to rule. So when he ruled, then the case will be forwarded to the criminal court and for onward prosecutions of the defendants.
So what is going on now? Is it all part of the pre-trial formalities? Whether or not the state has got prima facie or enough evidence for this case to proceed to trial?
Say that again?
Is it all part of the pre-trial formalities? And that if the state is able to produce enough evidence before this case can now, if the judge rules that there is enough evidence, before it can now go to the full trial phase?
Well, what I've gathered is that if the judge rule and if they go against other party, then they will now go on summary or an appeal to either the Supreme Court or the circuit court. But the judge will, I don't think he will rule by saying the case now has sufficient evidence to
No, my question is, you made mention of going to the circuit court. So, and you cover the courts for us. You know the process more than we do. So is the actual trial that is ongoing, Liberians want to know, or is it a pre-trial hearing that is ongoing now?
Okay. So this is the pre-trial hearing that is ongoing, and the actual trial hasn't, beginning.
Okay. So from this pre-trial hearing, the judge now is going to look at the evidence produced by the state, if it's enough to charge and send these guys for actual prosecution. Is that where we are now?
Exactly.
Okay, that's the clarity we wanted to know. So if these two additional defendants are put through their pre-trial hearing phase, will we see all four of them being charged as one batch or one group, or the state might opt to prosecute them individually?
So we are looking to see whether they will be prosecuted jointly, because these the first two already ahead of this entire process. So we are looking to see whether or not they will be prosecuted, or they could proceed jointly with them. But let's see how it plays out, Damo, or whether or not the senior lawyers that are representing the two will also include them, that whatever charges or whatever matter will be amended for them to be prosecuted jointly.
Who's representing these two now as their defense attorney?
So currently they do not have a lawyer yet, because the matter at hand is a criminal offense and they will have to go at the central prison. So afterward, before whoever lawyers that will be represented, they will come out to seek that defense. But the first two, they've been represented by Councillor Janino Masakwe and Councillor former Associate Justice Wingis Wright.
Did you have the chance to speak to either of the two when they were being whisked away to court? Did they speak to the press, or they just walked away in silence?
So, many times when they are brought here, they always love to reserve that right not to speak to the press. And we went there as usual, because most times, certain cases when they come, we love to get some side of them, but once went there and they said they couldn't speak to the press at a moment. So probably if they come to court, we will know what is on the man.
Okay. All right, Melvin. Thank you so much for updating us.
So Damon, before you take leave of me, in keeping with the justice minute that Justice Nyame Kogwe minute, criminal policy resident judge finally recused himself from the case involving former finance minister Samuel Tue and others.
Okay, so you want to give us full details about that story, the name of the judge and everything. Somebody might not be following and want to know why has he recused himself from the proceedings.
So, Damo, like we've been reporting, the prosecution took the judge on a summary proceeding before the justice in chamber on grounds that he was being biased in the entire proceeding that involved the former finance ministers. So they went through the trial wherein the defense team had a father respond. So in the prosecution sanctuary pray for, they informed the judge that
break that thing down for all, but I can be speaking all the legal thing and to we the common people, we understand and you know all the jargons, but break it down small so me and I can understand too.
Yeah, so the sanctuary is reviewing a decision made by a lower court and bringing it to order. So that was why the prosecution went to the justice in chamber that they should review a decision because he had previously ruled and said the defendant's bond that was filed, it is valid, whereas the prosecution said there was some dark cloud hanging over the bond file. And then in his ruling, he made a statement that if Prince Kepler does not go to or goes to jail, will this bring enough evidence into the matter? So that was the statement he used, or that the state or capitalized on it, and that was how they went to the justice.
So by making that statement, the state claimed to be injured, that he might be party or biased in the matter, and so he should recuse himself. They prayed for him to recuse himself.
Exactly, and the justice said made mention that he erred in making such statement. He had no right in making such statement. So on that basis and other factors as claimed by the state, he should recuse himself. So that order was sent, and this afternoon the order was read in open court, and the judge, Judge A. Blamodesi, who is the resident judge, finally recused himself from the matter.
So you are the judicial man now. How is it a new judge is going to be assigned? How is it going to be done?
So we know the federal thing is we'll open sometime next week for the federal team of court for all the circuit courts across the country. Now, if the court opening, this judge was also reassigned at the court at Criminal C. So we are looking to see whether or not if a new judge is sent, which of course a new judge will be sent, whether they will have time in between that when the case is scheduled, then a new judge will go at the court to preside over the case, or they might request a change of venue, or they wait for this federal term to end, and then in the March the meeting, and then they will have to send another judge there who will preside and hear this matter. But we are still looking to see how this is going to go, because if he is presiding, whether or not they will have to schedule it in a way that it wouldn't coincide with a schedule at the court, then we'll have to know it. But we still watching to see. Probably the state might pray for a change of venue to go to another circuit, or they might send a judge there to High Court preside. But as we speak, Judge Bamodesi was being reassigned to preside in the circuit court, the criminal proceeding.
Okay, okay, Melvin. Thank you.
Yes. You're welcome.
All right, so Melvin Jackson is our judicial correspondent there, updating us with the latest from up Capitol Hill, but this time from the Temple of Justice. Judge A. Blamo Dixon has been ordered recused by Justice Nchimba Yemi Kwekwe in the case involving former Finance Minister Samuel Twe and other co-accused or co-defendants. As to how a new judge will be assigned, if that new judge will ask for time to review the case files, the case documents, and all of those things, as to when this case will resume as well, we'll be bringing you all of the information. But 2 new suspects have been charged on several counts by the courts. They've been charged and forwarded to court in the capital arson case. Namely Jerry Poka alias Tariz and Kivi Ba alias Kaba. According to the police investigation, one of the 2 had confessed that they received $100 from one of the co-defendants, Thomas Edridge, and it was shared $55. One person took 55. B Poker took $55, and all right. So who took the $55? So Poker took $55 and gave Kiwi $45. But this case has got a lot of interest, and we are looking to see how the prosecution is going to present their case. Irrefutable evidence if this case goes to trial in any of the circuit courts here in Liberia. But let's now move to the next story. The chosen one. I remember during the election time, we had the chosen one, a female candidate at the time, when everybody was choosing names. We had Rescue 1, Rescue 2, Broom 1, Broom 2, Fixer 1, Fixer 2, and the rest. We had Madam Bendu, Bendu Kroma, saying that she was the chosen one. But in this case, the chosen one, as Representative Samuel Kogai, with the endorsement coming from the wife of Senator Prince Y. Johnson, Mrs. Amira Johnson, endorsing Representative Samuel Kogai after he was performing traditional rites, jumping over the remains of the late senator and all of those things? Or is there coercion happening in the background to project Samuel Kogai as the one who is to replace Senator Prince Johnson? So we are going to speak to the former county inspector of Nimba County. All right, so once we get G. Mark Bliwon on the line, he's going to speak to us. He's got some accusations against Big Hands. According to him, his ambition to lead the people of Nimba County is being threatened by some unseen hands in the back that are telling him to stand down to allow Representative Samuel Kogai run. Well, Prophet Key has announced his intention to run to replace Senator Johnson. According to him, he's the unifier and the one that is needed now by the people of Nimba County. But we're trying our best to get on G. Mark Bliwon, if he can speak to us, the former inspector, county inspector of Nimba County. But these are pictures of Representative Kogai kneeling to then Senator Prince Y. Johnson when he was alive. And this is a picture announcing his endorsement by the wife of the late senator, Madam Amira Johnson, that he, Samuel Kogai, is the one selected, anointed, chosen to lead the people of Nimba County. The National Elections Commission has already announced that they've received a communication from the Liberian Senate announcing a vacancy, and the institution has got within 90 days to cause for a by-election there in Nimba County. A lot of names are coming up as to who is going to replace Senator Johnson, but is Samuel Kogai now the chosen one, being endorsed? What weight does it bear? And whether or not there isn't background games? B. Mark Bliwon, okay? All right. B. Mark Bliwon. So we're going to see if we can get B. Mark Bliwon on the line, once he is able to be reachable to speak to us. He's got an allegation, and that allegation is what we want to speak to here on the show. If you're just joining us, this is the Pause on the Spoon Network. My name is Diamond Slanger. Remember, you can play the radio game and win for yourself $20,000 Liberian dollars right now all you need to do is to dial *799 *80 hash. *799 *80 hash. You play with 200, just 200 Liberian dollars, and stand a chance of winning 20,000. Today is Jackpot Wednesday. So you win 20,000 by just playing with 200 Liberian dollars or $1.50 if you're using your USD wallet. It's only limited to Lone Star Cell MTN subscribers. Yesterday, I drew 2 winners. Today, I want to draw at least 5 winners. So giving each person 20,000, that is 100,000 Liberian dollars. So play now. Don't sit there and say, and what time I own a elephant meat will come my way. No. Dial *799 *80 hash. *799 *80 hash. Play with just 200 Liberian dollars or $1.50 if you're using your USD wallet. Don't be told, be a winner. And once you win as well, your name will be drawn on the 15th, and you might just win a 2-bedroom house. Well, you see, now uplifting there. Not iron seat bosso. No, 2-bedroom, very comfortable house for you. As I said, at 4 p.m., we'll be speaking to, let me get the name right. Yeah, we'll be speaking to, at 4 p.m., Mr. Prince Kepler. He was a contestant there in District Number 2, contested for the representative position, and he's been out with a lot of stinging allegations against the government. Well, folks, let's move to our next talking point as you're playing and you're winning. There is this Liberian song by J. Boy the Prophet, and there is a verse there or a line there that I love. I will not put my mud on your wet shirt. I will not put my mud on your white shirt. And this discussion that will lead us into our conversation with Mr. Prince Kepler has got to do with the hurt, the mud that some people are throwing on the white shirt, if the shirt is still indeed still white, of the Bwaka regime. Remember in 2023, the allegations against former President Weah, one of those allegations were, and I remember that interview with the former president, he said, I'm the coach of the team. People can be making noise, sell a player down. Okay, District 12, thank you. Sell a player down, sell a player down. They mean the coach, I know who playing well, then I just go sell the player down. I'm the coach, I will decide when to set players down. And the former president was using that footballing analogy to speak to rousing cries from Liberians that some members of his government were underperforming and their names were just mixed up in too many different things, and they were causing a serious embarrassment and distraction to the Weah-led administration. The president didn't do as much, and we all know how that was used as one of the campaign propagandas that led to the former president being ousted in a democratic form and manner. Fast forward. Are we seeing the same semblances in the Bwaka regime? Are there sacred cows? Is the president, from your perspective, your assessment, having an equal and level playing field against corruption, waste, and mismanagement of public funds? Why is it these allegations are just popping up from one place to the other? Is the president afraid of losing the political will of those who helped him to gain power? The oligarchs of the political parties? Or is this thing of a coalition suffering and hampering the decision-making powers of the president? That I helped you, I helped you, I helped you. So put him here, put him on there, put him in there, put him on there in our interest? Or has he taken his eyes off the ball in the fight against corruption. What is your assessment? Are you still hopeful that from actions taken by President Boyka, actions not taken by President Boyka, that he is seriously fighting corruption, public waste, mismanagement of funds? Or is he losing, in your own assessment, this fight based on several factors? Let's go to cases, starting with the most recent. Look, the issue of what is happening at the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications, we got that intel a long time ago. In fact, the place, if care is not taken, is almost like the LDEA doing the AB Chroma and the Fadiga time. If there isn't a cordial working relationship between the minister and his deputies. And as we say in Liberia, like two things that cause issue: money bene and woman bene. But in this one, it's all about money. Who's appropriating what, and if the amounts appropriated commensurates with the items purchased. Let's look at the issue of this fourth boss, or the bosses, those three bosses. For GSA to write the minister and tell him that, look, they can get in what you bring, what you call them bosses, they don't meet our standard. They don't match the price tag that you put on these bosses. So we can't put them in the government fleet. For such an allegation, even for such a letter to be written, it speaks volumes. But let's look at what the problem is before we come to the instances. Then we start looking for what the solution is. I was sent a communication prior to coming on the show that the government has now adopted a new anti-waste policy. That, look, instead of getting 800 gallons, you get XYZ gallon. We'll read out the entire policy to you. But let's firstly go back to the genesis. And why is it real change is always eluding us as a country? Point number one. What was the logic behind taking the purchasing of government assets from GSA and then given to the individual entities to purchase their own vehicles? What was the logic behind that? What was the driving force, if not corruption and kickback? And I want to control my own expenditure so I can get my own point for on it. What caused us as a country to take away standardization and replace it with flaunting of wealth? What caused our minds? What informed us to do that in the first place? If we want to solve these problems, the first thing is you must have a standard. If there is no standard to follow, everybody can do their own thing. If there's no central processing office that all of these quality controls and all of these things can be channeled through, people will do their own thing. When you come to government job, and that's one thing I give to NASCOR. Whenever I see a Renault vehicle, my mind runs straight to NASCOR. Because that is the vehicle they use mostly. And now they shifted to Kia. But whenever I see a Renault vehicle, until I can see that it's not carrying a NASCOR marking or the government plate, then my mind will say, okay, it's not for NASCOR. Growing up as a kid, when we saw Azuzu Trooper, remember the Azuzu Trooper that former President Taylor brought in the country? It's either navy blue or black. We know that it's either for a representative or a senator. Those Azuzu Trooper Jeeps. The PR rides, we knew they were Nissan Patrols. When you have a good system, it cuts waste by itself. Because if GSA was still in the business of purchasing for government entities, GSA will know the prices of these vehicles and will negotiate from the vendors at source. So the price will be different. But let's come back to the Ministry of Post and Telecommunications story. It is insulting that GSA will tell you, say, the bus that you bought or the buses that you bought, they don't meet our standard. But before GSA can even tell you that thing, as a minister, a leader of people in your ministry, amen. Now, that kind of onion seat thing you want for your employees to sit on, where is your human feelings in the first place? Oh, when it comes to the minister, he can ride 75,000, 60,000 luxurious vehicle. But when it comes to the people down there, their back must break. Their whole bottom should be sour. No seat belt. You can see the seats, you know, prefabricated seats and the ones that were just put there. Let me put a picture up of those buses and you look at the seat. But before I talk about the seat, look at the deputy minister face on the picture. George Wright. You see how you're looking at the bus, the man in a greenish looking suit that looks yellowish and green like that. That's George Wright. You see how you're looking at the bus? You look at the bus like waiting here. Now waiting here. $28,000 for the keke. So the deputy minister is even looking at the bus like waiting here. And look at the seat the minister is sitting on. There's the minister. Minister Kroman. There's the minister. He's sitting on this bus seat. Look at the seat. You see the iron down there? That seat where they just put there. They just pull that seat there. That bus was originally meant to be an ambulance. So they just pull the seat there to make it to transform it into a passenger bus. But if you're making decisions for your people, a thing as important as transportation, and that kind of iron rack seat bus you will buy for your people, where is their welfare? Where is their welfare? Can you sit on board this thing with an iron seat, le outdated killer bean boss? Like they don't have a choice. Like anything I give to them, they can take it. Duty free. Couldn't we have gotten something different? But for GSA to even tell you that these buses do not meet our specification, they do not meet the criteria of what it should be, and the price here is even more exorbitant than what it is, that is a probe for corruption and mismanagement of public funds. That alone is a ground for that. It's not a human aspect, it's not a human feeling aspect. But I'll tell you, when I'm riding that bus, I gotta do that bus. I ride my brand new car, fully aircon, beating 24 hours, anywhere I am. I don't care who rides this bus. For GSA to write this letter and say, look, dear Honorable Minister, the General Service Agency extends its compliments and expresses sincere appreciation for your continued partnership in enhancing public service delivery. We write to formally inform you that we are unable to approve the recently procured buses as they do not meet the required standards. Features and comfort levels necessary for effectively transporting civil servants. Amen. I need to go further with the letter. That the bosses do not meet the standard to ensure quality services. That the bosses do not meet the standard of comfort. That the people should sit down on iron seats. It's not safe, no seat belt, to be carrying civil servants around. The greedy hunter. The greedy hunter. The leader who doesn't put his followers first, doesn't seek that. This letter clearly tells you that you have not sought the interest of your employees, that you put them at risk. That as a manager, you didn't make the proper decision for the well-being of your staff. So you went and got them a substandard thing for GSA to bounce it. That is why the deputy minister is looking at the bosses like waiting yet. But we still got issues with the procurement of vehicles, with the whole no-car scandal, the no-car entanglement. The Amimoda case, the Fadiga and the Eddie Kroman at immigration, former Senator Steve Zago. But our main question today is, has President Boyka dropped the ball? Is he not seen as a leader who is clamping down against corruption? That is why we're getting all of these. Or is it political patronage that we cannot get rid of certain people because Minister Kuruma is from ARCOP and ARCOP supported us? So we cannot take action because we might lose political clout with them. Are you risking losing the support of the oligarchs to losing the support of the ordinary Liberians who make up the majority of the decision makers when it comes to voting? The Dog Cooper scenario, the UL conducted an extensive investigation and found the Inspector General of the Ministry of Commerce and Public Liberia liable of academic fraud, of telling those that are going to school that your time you're going to school for, you wasting it. I can pass shocker and get a qualification. So your own thing you're doing, I'll cut it short, I'll take the shocker and get qualification. Others were suspended, others were fired. Why is he still the Inspector General of the Republic of Liberia if it's a government that ran on anti-corruption? Why? Now Assistant Minister Sewaba is coming from inside, has come out to say, don't put your rape oil on our wear shirt. In her Facebook post, she's calling on the president to take decision because Liberian people are quick to become bored and tired. And we are quick to label. And once you are labeled, it's difficult to take that label from on you. Is she going to suffer the same fate as Andrew Wemplu, who spoke against the Nicotech issue and was fired because he didn't follow the proper channel of communication? Or is it that those inside have had internal conversations and they're now losing hope that, look, I've been taking uniform decision when it comes to these things? Is President Boyka not aware that if these decisions are taken, Liberian people are reasonable people, the critical thinkers, no matter how you think, that they'll say, Talk about us for fire because he did academic fraud. Kudos to you, President Bwaka. Rosalind Swakoko Dennis said she needed one car for escort and weekend out and holiday and one car to pass around. And now we are in the board. They didn't do the board. They didn't do that. President suspended her until investigation can be conducted and the findings can come. Will the Liberian people turn against the president for taking such decisions? And it's not just about firing, suspending, and letting go off. It's about prosecuting to send a clear message that this country is a country of laws and there are systems in place. When is this reshuffle going to happen? Has the president done his assessment on his officials? It's been 1 year. If you were given the opportunity to serve your people and you abuse it, it means that you do not make a good leader. So why will I keep you there? To spoil my own government? Because you helped me to give me vote? So when I gave you the opportunity, I have rewarded you to serve your people, and then you abuse the opportunity. Then I say, oh, I can't take you from that because you say if on the party help me. So if I do it, then I will lose. I will lose the popularity. Who told you the people, the ordinary people, are not following? The oligarchs can get angry. After all, you are given an opportunity. Let me you a song. They gave you chance. They said, go be the minister of post and telecommunication. You say, I will back that unsafe for my people, and I'll put it inside, and I'll say that 28,000 and she has and me there. So let's forget about it. They gave the opportunity to serve. You said, no, I'll go to UR, we'll do some other party, I'll get a degree. Then when they fire you for it, then I people get first and say, oh, why the president fire XYZ? When it's there in black and white that you did something wrong. You know why our leaders are arrogant in their bad deeds? It's because most of them get nothing done to them. Or they just give you a slap on the wrist. Go sit down small for 3 months, we'll bring you back. Or we'll recycle you, put you somewhere else where no eye on you, or better still, we'll suspend you, but we'll not prosecute you. That has been what has emboldened our people. That has been what has emboldened our people. That they can do anything and nothing will come from all of it. They can buy one car for escort, one car for holiday, and one car for a running errand, and then one car for luxury, and nothing will come from all of it. If President Bwaka's excuse is, I didn't know everybody that I appointed in government because they were all slots filled in by different people, their actions and their assessments should be key in maintaining or removing. Time is going. The perception of the Liberian people is shifted by actions and inactions. That if you do not put your foot down and weed away those who want to spoil your legacy in your government and make you like every other corrupt leader, you go down as a corrupt leader. Because you'll be judged by the actions and the inactions of your regime. In other countries, when these allegations come up and the evidence is investigated, these people are suspended while investigation is ongoing. The president has done it before. He suspended people while investigation was ongoing. A.B. Kroma and the rest, they were suspended while investigation was ongoing. If you have an effective government that communicates, how many days will it take to get irrefutable evidence that yes, 2 vehicles were bought, one of this and one of that is a waste, or the transaction wasn't approved, or the company that was giving over $500,000 contract, they don't meet X, Y, and Z criteria, or you didn't follow the procedure set by your own rules at your corporation, so we will suspend you so that you don't tamper with evidence and carry out an investigation. How long does it take? When the president has got all of the resources available to carry out swift actions. Swift. When we open the phone lines now for Liberians to give their assessment on the president's fight against corruption, What would be your scorecard? When your friend hold your share and drag you in a hole that they're going in, that is not a friend. That is a foe. If your friend going in a hole, you fall in a hole, then you hold your share, then you haul you in a hole with him and say, let go, my man, me and you going. You can't leave me behind. That is not a friend. If the actions of these people reflect your agenda for the country, that's fine. If their actions, as you said to Amin Modad, when you was alleged of buying a 75,000 vehicle, he said, no, this is a waste. It doesn't reflect what we are here for. If the actions of others are seen to be similar, why is it taking forever to be decisive? I conclude on this before we take our guests. The Liberian people quick to get tired. They're quick to get bored. They're quick to label. And when you are labeled, it's difficult to take away that label from yourself. Is there an opportunity? Are there windows? Is there time to reignite the fight against corruption? Yes, there's time. It's how you use that time. What actions you take to rekindle that energy. I don't want the president to fire anybody on mere allegation. No. Because if you fire people on mere allegations, people will start to conspire and lie against others. But if there's evidence and you have all right and all of the authority and the power to have those evidence brought to you, even if not yourself, to constitute an investigative committee to go through and see, you have to be swift. Corruption, like rare oil, when test your well share. To what's unfolding at the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications, let it claim your attention, Mr. President, that an investigation needs to be carried out. Why would GSA tell the minister the cars do not meet the standard? What's the market value for those cars? Iron seated bus, does it represent 28,000? Could a better option not have been purchased? And as a leader, a manager, where the key factors of the safety, comfort, efficiency at work of your employees taken into consideration, if those questions can be answered, then you know what to do. But let's call on Mr. Prince Kepler. Remember, you can play the radio game, *799 *80#. That's the number, *799 *80#. Play now and win 20,000 Liberian dollars for yourself. Play now and win 20,000 Liberian dollars for yourself. All you need to do is to play with either 200 Liberian dollars or $1.50 if you're using your USD wallet. *799 *80#. *799 *80#. That is to win the jackpot today. Don't be told. Be a winner. All right. So we'll talk to Mr. Prince Kepler first before we go to the phone lines for Liberians to give us their survey, their perception on where they put the president's fight against corruption on a scale of 1 to 10, with actions taken, with inactions as well. And with all of these slew of allegations coming up left, right, and center, is there still time for President Joseph Boakai, who campaigned on rescuing this country and dealing away with public waste and mismanagement of funds, if there is still time? But we'll have Mr. Prince Kepler on the line to speak with us. Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you?
How are you? It's a pleasure to be on phone this afternoon.
It's a pleasure as well. Affording us your time. It's good to have you on. So I would like you to kindly introduce yourself. I should have done it, but I want you to please do, so Liberians can know who's on the line and whom we're speaking with.
I'm Prince am a former candidate of the Congress for Democratic Change or Coalition for Democratic Change for representative in District number 12 during the 2023 just concluded legislative and presidential election.
Okay.
Prior to that, I have been a scarce civil society advocate in this country for a significant period of time before joining politics.
All right. Thank you for that. The name is familiar, and I want our Liberians to hear your own CV from yourself. The reason we have you on the score, sir, Mr. Kepler, is for us to talk about your post and the slew of corruption allegations and what's happening in this country right under our noses. What prompted you to make that post?
Well, our country, after over 14 years of civil unrest, and that pillaged the country into social, political, and economic unrest, many analysts believe corruption has been the major factor that has eaten the fabric of this country, resulting to the war and the economic development of the country. In 2023, during the heated presidential campaign, Mr. President, the current president, Boyka, alleged that the former president, the president that I supported and I believe in so dearly, was doing little or nothing to fight corruption. So he won the elections under the motto of accelerating the fight against corruption. Unfortunately, with just less than 12 months or about 12 months into the administration, Mr. Boyka, who alleged in 2023 that Mr. was doing little or nothing to fight corruption, himself has failed to fight corruption as he has promised the Liberian people for which he was elected. Imagine that just in less than a year or in a year, you have notable cases up to about 20 corruption cases involving high-profile and high-ranking members of the Unity Party and close associate of Mr. Boyka. That, in my mind, is a betrayal of the trust and confidence that the Liberian people repose in Mr. Boyka, and the fact that Mr. Boyka, in less than a year, will have over 20 corruption cases, right, in nearly all of the ministries and agencies, and nothing substantial has been done to any of those individual officials of government, means that Mr. Boyka was very deceptive to the Liberian people. He lied to the Liberian people. He deceived the Liberian people to believe that he was interested in fighting corruption, but he rather only used that to get away into state power and then abandon the Liberian people. On this basis, I thought to bring this to the attention of the Liberian people and to the attention of the Unity Party and Mr. Boyka, that they are betraying the trust and confidence the Liberian people repose in them, and they have lied to the Liberian people, and there is a need for them to come back to the commitment that they made to the Liberian people to fight corruption, to its end.
Can you list at least, you said 20, it's going to take us a lot of time to list 20, but the most recent 5 cases for which you said the president has not taken substantive action against these actors as well?
So I would like to start from the very beginning. When the government of President Boyka was then elected, President Boyka was president-elect. Former President administration earmarked a $900,000 United States for the inaugural of Mr. Boyka. Mr. Boyka said that he cut that amount down from 900,000 to 650,000 United States dollars. All of the 650,000, 365,000 were earmarked to be distributed $5,000 each to all of the 73 electoral districts Unity Party offices to facilitate Unity Partisan participation in the inauguration of then President-elect Mr. Boyka. That money was allegedly stolen by the chairman of the Unity Party, Reverend Luther Tappet. It is not Prince Kepler that alleged that those money were stolen. It is partisans of the Unity Party, constituent members of the Unity Party, county chairpersons, zonal heads, district coordinators alleged that Mr. Tappet stole the money. The only defense Mr. Tappet had was that he took $1,000 each from each district to facilitate other executive members' movement, which was not true. Today, Mr. Boyka is yet to conduct an investigation into that allegation against Mr. Tappet, and Mr. Tappet has gone scot-free, walking away with over 73,000 United States dollars that was stolen from the 73 districts. Mr. Tappet cannot claim that he used 1,000 each to facilitate other executive members' participation in the event, when Mr. Boyka himself is on record for saying 900,000 was too much, so he reduced the budget by 250,000. It means that there were no gaps, funding gaps. If there were funding gaps, Mr. Boyka would not have reduced the 900,000 to 650,000. Meaning that he would have used the remaining 250 or more thousand to address the budget deficit or gaps. For Mr. Tappet to say he used 1,000 that was intended for the districts, to facilitate other executive members, you know that it's a lie. But the most important thing is almost 12 months or about 12 months now running into the government, not even an investigation has been conducted by the LACC on this allegation. Not even an investigation has been conducted by the Unity Party on this allegation and the entire government. That shows that the government is very unserious about the fight against corruption. The other case is that Mr. George W.K. Yango is the president pick for Chief Executive Officer at the National Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Commission. Mr. Yango has been bathing in corruption since he took over as the head of the National Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Commission. He has employed a scheme and the tactics in the National Wash Commission along with his HR director and director of administration to do procurement-related corruption in that entity. Series of complaints were filed to the LACC, to the executive mansion, and to this date, not a phone call has been played by the LACC to Mr. Yango. Neither has the LACC started an investigation into the allegation made against Mr. Yango. Assuming that this government was serious about the fight against corruption, you wouldn't want to overlook or play low profile on corruption allegation against any member of the government, especially from internal sources, people who are working within the entity, whistleblowing and indicating that there is corruption, rampant corruption of funding, and all the executive mansion does, all the LACC does is to fight to shield those individuals. That is a disservice to the Liberian people. That's the second case scenario. Of course, you heard about the case with Ami Moda, the former commerce minister. Mr. Minister bought a luxurious vehicles using MTEX, money project. Money that was intended for different projects. That's misuse of public funds. That's misallocation. He bought a lucrative or a brand new vehicle, luxurious vehicle for his personal comfort. That's misuse of public funds. Today, the only thing that has happened to Mr. Moda is Mr. Moda resigned. What that presupposes is that You can wake up today as the minister of the Unity Party-led government. You can see the entire foreign reserve of our country. All you need to do is to resign and you go scot-free. That is the message Mr. Boyka and his administration is sending to the Liberian people and to his official. Go and steal, and then all you do resign and you go scot-free. You will not be prosecuted. You will not be made to account for the looting of the Liberian people.
Mr. Kepler, let me come in a bit. You've listed at least 3 instances, and you said that you started your journey in advocacy, and you are an activist. This corruption thing that we're fighting in Liberia is everybody's business. With all of these, instances that you've listed, I know the government is to take action, but if citizens do inform the government, then there's also a part for us to play in this fight against corruption. So what have you done, as a stakeholder in this country as well, with all of these pieces of evidence that you've said and all of these allegations that you've made, to make sure that these things are brought to book?
So let me give you one instance. Personally, with the National Water Sanitation and Hygiene Commission, I serve in the National Water Commission as Director for Program Planning and Technical Services, the position I hold currently. When Minister Yango started looking at the National Water Commission, what it was, I officially wrote the LACC as a whistleblower. Online the corruption-related actions that Mr. Yango has taken, and then provided documentary evidence. Not only that I wrote the LACC, I wrote the Office of the President through the Director of Cabinet, Nathaniel Kaba, and seizing every minister and commissioner, executive director in the broadcast administration. I have copied all of them. All of them have series of emails, and I can share those emails with you, along with attached documentation. The executive marshal, through another soul that is not within the government, asked me to do an executive summary and of all of the allegations about corruption. I did that summary, share with the Director of Cabinet, Nathaniel Kaba, and trust me, you know what has happened? The only thing the guys have been able to do is to continue to steal Mr. Yango, try to ensure that Mr. Yango is not taken before the LACC for investigation. In fact, my understanding from the folks in the LACC is that the investigators, they see strong probable causes in the allegation that are made. They think there is a need for investigation of Mr. Yango. They have drafted a letter for the LCC and the executive chairperson to sign, but the executive marshal has instructed the LCC executive chair not to sign the letter to put Mr. Yango on an investigation. That is sad.
So that is from a third-party source. Now, let's go back to why we are here as a country. Corruption has been in the fabric of Liberia. Government go and government come, right? From the Unity Party government, Madam Salif labeled corruption as a vampire. President Weah struggled with corruption allegations against his officials, from whom some were sanctioned, and now we're getting similar happening in the Black administration. Why is it difficult for presidents to solve or fight corruption wholeheartedly as we hear them do when they're candidates? Where have we fallen short as a country in the fight against corruption, irrespective of whichever president we've had so far?
I think it shouldn't be difficult to fight corruption in Liberia. Any president that has the political will to fight corruption can fight corruption very easy. The only most important thing that is needed is to forget about friendship, political affiliation, tribalism, and you name them. And focus your attention on fighting the malice so that we are able to develop our country and
unable to place call on your Bluetooth phone
and reduce poverty among our people. Hello?
You still live. Go ahead, sir.
Great. So I think I thought I was off the line. So I think it is lack of political will that is causing successive governments to come and go, and the fight against corruption is still hanging in a balance.
Now, you talk about the lack of political will, and Liberians listening all around the world and those in Liberia are wondering, why will a powerful president lack political will? What is impeding that political will to fight corruption at its core? What are those factors that impede the political will to fight corruption?
So then there are a number of factors. Morality matters. Morality counts a lot. If you're a president, you make commitment. Your platform was very clear about your desire to fight corruption, and you refuse to do that. You lost moral. You lack moral. That's just that. Morality. And then pressing a group of people who believe in morality, who are morally upright, brought up properly in moral terms. We never want to go back on their words, because their words, matter a lot. Their words represent them. Their repetition count a lot. The name of their family matters a lot. If a president did not make commitment to fight corruption, and they renege on the fight against corruption, that would be okay. It will that could be an excuse for that president. But as a president, as a candidate, you campaign on the matter of fighting corruption, won elections on the canopy of fighting corruption, accelerating the fight against corruption, and you choose to abandon that process, you lack moral. I know sometimes political pressure from political allies can be very important impediment to the fight against corruption. But if you, as the president, the head of state, the candidate who made the commitments, you're very serious about the reputation of your family and the commitment that you made to your people and the interests of your people, you disregard, political allyship. And Mr. Boyka is in a better position to disregard political allyship. Mr. Boyka is nearly 80 years old, or is around 80 years old.
Let's disregard the issue of Mr. Kepler. Let's disregard the issue of the president's age and stick to the crux of the conversation. Excuse me, sir. Let's disregard that and stick to the crux of the conversation. That's why I asked you, what is impeding presidents, and not just limited to Joseph Human Boyka. The CDC for which you are a candidate on their ticket struggled with corruption. We've had CDC ministers that have been sanctioned for corruption-related allegations. The Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government struggled with corruption, and she called it a vampire. So all of the presidents in Liberia have struggled with corruption. My question is, irrespective of what you think of the Boyka administration, what has impeded presidents of Liberia from fighting corruption holistically? That is my question.
I have said holistically why. What is impeding presidents from fighting corruption? And I want to narrow down and bring some peculiar situations to the table.
Okay.
A peculiar situation with Mr. Boyka. Mr. Boyka doesn't have a second term, possibly, intention. Given his age, he may not have a second term intention. It means he's better suited to avoid the political allyship that often undermine president's drive to fight corruption.
Granted.
Because he's not going to be going for second term.
Okay.
So he's in a position now to make a legacy, not just for him, but for his family, and to set the precedent that future presidents could follow. Because he's not going for second term, possibly. I know that anything is possible in Africa.
There is a counter, Mr. Kepler. Mr. Kepler, there is an argument against that point that even a younger president who wants to go for a second term can fight corruption on, and the people who are the citizens that elect are going to look at that and say, look, he fought corruption. His political allies didn't like it, but it has brought a lot of positive changes to our country, so we can take him for a second term. So
I agree.
how about that argument?
No disagreement to that. And that's the position that I hold, that irrespective of your age, irrespective of whether you running for second term or not, a president can still diligently fight corruption and possibly defeat or end corruption. But again, the fact remains that one of the major impediments to the fight against corruption by successive presidents have always been this desire for a second term. That is the reason why I'm emphasizing Mr. Boyka's, inability to go for second term, which put him in a better position, in my view, as an analysis that I've done, to fight corruption more than any president has done, especially so when he had made stronger commitments to fight corruption than any candidate for president has ever made in the history of our country. And then he's in a position suitable to fight corruption than any president in the history of our country, because all presidents in the history of our country have always had the time, the chance to go for re-election. But Mr. Boyka doesn't have that. And Mr. Boyka himself has promised the Liberian people that he's only going for one term. So he's in a better position. That's why I was trying to emphasize.
Okay.
But again, because Mr. Boyka lack moral, because Mr.
No,
Boyka
we wouldn't go. Excuse me, sir, Mr. Kepler, we wouldn't go that direction. Excuse me, sir. You cannot do that on the radio. You cannot use politics to go personal. You cannot refer to the president of the Republic of Liberia in a term for which you did. I want us to conduct this interview in a very, excuse me, sir, I'm conducting the interview. We have to go very professional. That is the reason I kept putting you back in your position as an advocate and a Liberian. Sometimes it's better to take off the political garment and go to the situation and address it in a holistic manner. And as the host of this program, I'm sorry if that's the trend you want to continue on. I'll have to end this. This is something that will educate our people. Why is it presidents have struggled to fight corruption?
Hello?
And yes, sir, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, so you're still live. Mr. Kepler, are you there?
Hello?
Yes, sir, I'm still having you on the line. Okay, so we will reconnect with Mr. Prince Kepler, and having conversations, we should be able to have conversations that sometimes take away our political garments and approach issues as they should be approached. The issue of corruption, as you rightly stated, and as I pointed out, has been a challenge for all candidates and presidents in our country. All candidates and presidents in our country. So if you want to narrow it down and say President Boyka made a stronger commitment, what about other presidents or candidates who won elections and campaigned on also fighting corruption? What are the challenges faced? Why is it difficult? What are those hidden factors that are impeding the fight against corruption in our country? At the end of the day, it's we ordinary Liberians who suffer and bear the brunt of the actions of corrupt actors. So, Mr. Kepler, we do have you back on the line.
Yes, I'm sorry that I have to. I go off the line. I don't know why. Maybe.
Yeah, I was getting a local call that affected the connection. So, as I was saying, for us to continue having this conversation, we have to keep it as civil and stick to the points and let Liberians take away something from this particular conversation. So we're on political will. You mentioned the fact that people wanting to go for second term, and President Boyka is not in the position, or he has not announced that he wants to go for a second term. So that puts him in a better position to fight corruption, which I countered by saying, even if I want to go for a second term, I'll fight corruption and make my citizens see how waste has been affecting them, that they will vote for me rather than looking at the political oligarchs. But let's look at time. Is there still time, looking at what actions President Boyka can take, or any other Liberian president after President Boyka, or any other president who was his predecessor who didn't take those actions? Are there actions that can be taken that this fight against corruption can take a stronger stand here in Liberia?
I think there's sufficient of time. There's always, even in a single day, if Mr. Boyka is interested in fighting corruption, if he's very serious about a promise made to the Liberian people to end corruption, even in a month, Mr. Boyka can end corruption in Liberia. But like I said to you, Mr. Boyka doesn't have that political will. He's willing to shield his corrupt officials, irrespective of what damage their level of corruption is causing to the country. And so obviously, you even give Mr. Boyka 12 years, he wouldn't be able to end corruption because the desire to end corruption isn't there. One must have the desire to be able to end corruption. Once you don't have the desire, even will give you 100 years, you wouldn't be able to fight corruption.
So are you saying that all previous presidents didn't also have the desire to fight corruption? Is that the point that you're making?
My argument is based on the steps that you take. And now you, as a president, who just won an election on the mantle of accelerating the fight against corruption. The first thing you promised the Liberian people, and you said your predecessor wasn't doing, was that your predecessor did not sign, the code of conduct or the access. They did not declare access before taking office, and you would have done so before taking office. Unfortunately, when you, Mr. Boyka, were taking office, you did not declare your assets. You declare your asset after taking office almost 2 months or 3 months, something like that, tend to be corrected into the administration after public pressure before the president declares assets. He said that all of the ministers before taking office would have, declared their assets.
So what can be done? What can be done, Mr. Kepler? What can be done now? To make gains against corruption in our country? We have slew of allegations. What would be your recommendations as to what the president can do at this point to have a stronger grip on corruption in our country?
My first thing I think that the current government can do is to give the LACC, the GAC, and the various anti-graft institution independence. At the moment, they don't have independence. The LACC, when you send a letter to the LACC has to get directive from the executive mansion before they can investigate any corruption allegation that you levy against anybody in this government. The government has to start that. They need to allow the LACC to do her job. And the guys, the folks in the LACC themselves need to understand their power leverage. The laws of our country grant them some power, autonomy. Even though I can understand that they are afraid because Mr. Boyka and his administration have already removed a lot of 10 new officials. And so they are afraid that they could be removed. But I think if they stand for anything and then they're not willing to fall for anything, they will stand their ground. Even if they are removed from their position for standing their ground, history of prosperity will join them. They need to buckle themselves and realize that they are an independent body that is supposed to help the president, the government, and the country to weed out those corrupt elements of the government, to remove them. Unless we start to do that, make sure that those who are fighting corruption know that they have some independence, and no matter what, they must exercise that independence. Unless the executives start to meddle into the activities of those anti-graft institutions and ensure that they are independent, we will not be able to win the war against corruption. The other thing is that we need to apply a bit of seriousness to the fight against corruption. Look at allocations that we're making to the LACC, the GAC, the level of permanence that we give them in services to the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. their goods and services not being released on time. How do you expect them to be independent? We need to look at some of those things and make sure that those bottlenecks are removed so that the LACC, the GSC, and the internal audit commission, right? I think that
agency, internal audit agency, IAA.
Internal audit agency, and all the anti-graft institutions, PPCC, make sure that they are empowered and their autonomy is practical.
But you've mentioned actors. You've mentioned actors. What about the citizens themselves? You have a background in advocacy, as you rightly stated at the beginning of this interview. What should be done as citizens as well? I know the higher responsibility is on the actors, the government, but we as citizens ourselves, we've got a role to play in whether or not corruption continues in our country, or we can start to stand up against that.
I agree. The citizens got a very pivotal role to play. But you see, for the citizens to play the role that they should play, the government must create the enabling environment. Let's take for classical example, as an employee of government, director in government, the government accession to the UN whistleblower principle, I have decided to whistleblow, to raise alarm about corruption in my entity. I was summarily dismissed. The LACC have done nothing about that. I have taken it to the executive mansion. The executive mansion have done nothing about that. I have taken it to the CSA, Civil Service Agency. For the last, since November, we are being hearings at the CSA. The CSA will take almost 15, 20 days before they assign a hearing. When you go for hearing one day, they take another 15, 20 days. All bottlenecks employed by the system to discourage people from pursuing cases. I have been a victim. What encouragement do you think other citizens who want to be whistleblower like me will have for them to decide to be whistleblower?
Okay.
Nobody will want to be whistleblower. So the enabling environment must be provided. The LACC is not creating that environment. The executive mansion is not creating that environment. Even the CSA, the Civil Service Agency that is responsible for employment across government and protection of employees, is not doing anything to ensure that employees who, because of their desire to save the state from being looted, will decide to whistleblow and protect it. In Western countries, I have privilege of going to Western countries for months to campaign along with campaigners, corruption campaigners in Western countries. Whenever a citizen come up or somebody working in an entity come up as a whistleblower, the first thing the state provide protection for that individual.
Okay, Mr. Kepler, we press for time. We press for time, and I have one question for you, and then we can wrap up. We'll have this conversation lengthily again. We need critical voices. Once we can discuss issues, void of politics, you're always welcome for us to have a discussion to better Liberia. So my last question to you, when you made mention of President Boyka championing the fight against corruption the loudest during the campaign period, then my question to you is it that a candidate must say, I will fight corruption before they fight it, or you do know that whether you promise or not, you should fight a thing as corruption that leads to waste and misapplication of funds? Should I make a promise before I fight corruption, or I should fight corruption?
I think by the governance system, by good governance practice, once you are the government, you are the president, you have an obligation to ensure there's good governance in the country. And one of the key indicators of good governance is, to fight waste, abuse, of public resources and access. That's one of the first important things when it comes to good governance. But again, when people go to elections, people elect people on the basis of the policy, prescriptions that they advance, that they make to the people. There are a lot of computing priorities but the voters vote on the basis of 4, 5, 6 important or key things that have complementarity effect. So when other candidates fail to talk about key things that the voters want to hear, the voters could choose not to vote for them, even though the other things they're talking about matters, but they will choose to vote on the basis of certain things that they want at certain point in time. Mr. Boyka was among few candidates that were very emphatic, blunt, and prioritized the fight against corruption. And so the people voted Mr. Boyka. So the people going to measure the performance of Mr. Boyka on those key things they said he was going to do.
So what's your measurement? What's your scorecard on for the Boyka regime so far in the fight against corruption? The prosecuting of past officials, the suspension of officials within his government, the resignation of Amin Modad, and the rest. If you were to put a scorecard to that, a grade to that, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would be your grading?
So I will give Mr. Boyka maybe half or 1. The reason why I would give Mr. Boyka half or 1 is that Mr. Boyka have not done anything serious about the fight against corruption. Absolutely nothing serious.
Okay, Mr. Kepler.
First thing.
All right, sir. I said, okay. I just wanted to get your grade, and I thank you.
I have not done anything serious about the fight against corruption, so I will give him 1 or half.
All right, sir. Thank you again. It's been an insightful conversation, and we look forward to having you again on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Okay. Mr. Prince Kepler, they're stating his assessment of the government's fight against corruption. And, well, you can take away politics from politicians. But whatever it is, he did say some salient things, that there is time for the president to buckle up if the fight is being lost or he's losing grounds, to look at what factors are impeding him from making decisions. There's nobody saying go and make hasty decisions. There's nobody saying go and make decisions that you do not investigate. You do not have evidence of that. But you need to make sure that Liberians are seeing tangibles, that officials of government, irrespective of whichever position they serve in, if there are allegations and investigations are conducted, the president has got the power to say, look, because of the position that you occupy, and you might tamper with the investigation if you keep coming around the office, you occupy a position of influence, so go rest as we conduct an investigation. That option is available to the president. With all of these things happening in the country, listen to the release from the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications that they just put out concerning those keke iron-seated things. I'm going to read the release from the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications concerning that iron-seated buses that they bought for their employees at the tune of 28,000. It reads, for immediate release, clarifying recent allegations, a commitment to transparency and employee welfare. Amen. The Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications wishes to address recent allegations published by Variety newspaper on February 5, 2025, concerning the procurement of buses intended for transportation of our employees. We appreciate the public's engagement in matters affecting civil servants and recognize the importance of transparency and accountability in government operations. Therefore, we aim to clarify the situation surrounding the procurement process and the rationale behind our decisions. For years, the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications has faced significant challenges in providing adequate transportation for its employees. Historically, the ministry has operated with a limited number of vehicles, often not exceeding 3 buses. This lack of resources has impeded our ability to ensure safe and reliable transportation for our dedicated staff who work tirelessly to serve the public. Under the current administration and leadership of Minister Sekou Kuruma, we have taken proactive measures to address this long-standing issue. For the first time in our history, we have invested in the procurement of 3 new buses specifically for our employees. This decision reflects our commitment to improving working conditions and providing our staff with the necessary resources to perform their duties effectively. We are aware of the concerns raised in a recent article regarding the quality of the buses purchased. The ministry acknowledges that the General Services Agency, the GSA, did not reject our initial procurement request. Rather, they recommended that we consider obtaining a better standard of buses. In response to this feedback, Minister Kroma and his team have taken immediate and decisive action. We have officially returned the 3 buses to the dealers. How shameful. How shameful that the ministry will say their employees didn't have buses before. So because they didn't have buses before, you brought Hazardra buses for them. It's like saying, oh, since you don't get food to eat, let me give you rotten bread. That's the logic the ministry is saying. That, oh, GSA didn't disprove when we told them we're going to buy these buses. What if you showed a different spec and different kind of buses to GSA and you bought differently? So GSA didn't disprove, but GSA denied putting those buses in the government fleet because they didn't reach the specification for employee safety and comfort. Meanwhile, the first 4 paragraphs of your letter states that you recognize that employees were suffering. They didn't have buses, so you went and shamefully bought 3 iron-seated keke for your employees. But in an attempt to save face, you say, because the public thought about GSA, so we return it to the amen. So when you got it, you didn't know that those buses were not good enough for your employees to sit on or to sit in. This release alone So when you got the buses, what were the criteria for purchasing buses for your people? So we retain the buses. So when you got them, you didn't know that our iron seats, that you can sit in those things, that they don't have any safety feature, nothing, that you were putting your employees' lives at risk. But your introductory paragraphs is they didn't have it before, so we brought in one issue of being grateful. What do our leaders think about when they are making decisions? Do they think about the ordinary man down the line? You risk the lives of employees. You bring something that is hazardous, that is seat like iron, that were meant to be ambulance, and you put seat in it to turn it into buses. Did you think that you got fair market value for what you purchased? Now we're carrying it back. We're returning it to Prestige Motor and say, oh, Prestige Motor, they think that we don't want it. Why couldn't you have made the soundness and the salient of decision before? Why must it come out when we talk about these things, then our leaders take a U-turn and want to act remorseful, and like when they do this, then the harm has been averted? As a manager, as a minister, you risk the lives of your employees, of civil servants, the fathers and mothers and kids of other people. Then you say, because we bought the buses, she has said, and I object to, well, that will show them the buses, but we'll bring them now. You know, picture and reality are 2 different things. What if your show different one? What if the specification that your show was different and you brought it and GSA look at it? The mere fact that GSA even look at the thing and say, we don't want it, it doesn't meet the standard. Shouldn't you have returned them immediately? It must come to the public glare first before you issue 65 paragraph statement that, oh, now we're retaining the bosses. This calls for serious investigation. How much were really paid for those bosses? Ambulance. The bosses were meant to be ambulances. So they get seats. So they went quick and put seat in there. Anya, they said because the people never had bosses before. Historically, they've been trekking to work. So we put them on iron at least. Let their back then be hurting. When you are a leader of a group of people, you think like them. You put yourself in their shoes. You make decisions that reflects who you are as a leader and as a person. So you went and got 3 bosses because there weren't any. Couldn't you have gone to look for a better option? There are coastal buses around. There are other buses options around. Comfortable, better. This release alone that goes to say we are returning the buses officially to Prestige Motor for replacement. This step demonstrates our commitment to ensuring our employees have access to vehicles that meet appropriate safety and comfort standards. So when you are buying the first 3, you didn't know your employees needed vehicles that met the comfort and safety standards. Minister Kroman, when you are sitting in buses taking picture, I know you didn't even sit for more than 1 minute on an iron chair. You didn't know that the people needed safety and comfort to go to work, to and fro. You're sitting on an iron for your employees. Somebody riding for 1 wheeler, hold back. It finished. You know, why do we treat our people like they don't matter? And then we come up with fancy statements that we want to show transparency and love and comfort and care. So you couldn't put comfort, care, transparency, and love in your first purchase? That is the official statement from the Ministry of Post and Telecommunications surrounding the iron-seated buses. We'll go to the phone lines, 1 minute per caller. The question is, what's your recommendation to President Joseph Yoman Boakai in the fight against corruption? Does he still have time to make it right? And if so, have you lost hope, or are you still hopeful that President Boakai can, unlike other leaders, take a serious stance against corruption with all of what the impediments are? Political maneuvering, the oligarchs pulling you down. Oh, we voted for you. We can't do this to us. If you take decision, it will affect our constituents. What's your take on the president's fight against corruption? And are you still hopeful that the president can make gains, significant gains? And what are your recommendations as ordinary Liberians who want to see waste being a thing of the past, who want to see greedy hunter leaders who will buy iron-seated buses for their people? It's been 1 year plus. We've heard of an imminent cabinet reshuffle, a reshuffle that should shake the core of government. Should President Boakai take his black book and look at those who have performed and those who have underperformed and say, look, I look you in the eye and I tell you to go and sit down. You don't represent what we want for Liberia. And let the Liberian people be the decision makers. 0777-77-1075, 0555-101075. Those are the numbers to call. But before I go to the lines, let me call 3 winners who have been frequently playing the radio game, and they've been selected as frequent winners. Each of these winners have been given 1,000 Liberian dollars. If you want to win the 20,000 Liberian dollars, you need to play now so that I can draw a winner to take away 20,000 Liberian dollars. So let me call this first of three to confirm that they have their money in their account. 1,000. Remember the code is *799 *80 hash. *799 *80 hash. Dial the number, play with 200 Liberian dollars, win 20,000 Liberian dollars, or using $1.50, win 20,000 Liberian dollars. So this winner is not answering. We move to the next person. Yeah, quick Benin. That person got that 1G in their phone and probably they're going withdraw it. They won't answer. So move to the next person quickly. Yes, frequent winners. So even if you're playing and you're not winning, it doesn't matter. Radio Game has got a system that rewards frequent players. So this is the second frequent player that has been awarded 1,000 Liberian dollars. Let's see if we can get this person in line. Afternoon to you.
Hello?
Yeah, how are you, sir? My name is Diamond Slanger. I'm calling you from the Spoon Network. You just received $1,000 from the Radio Game.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that is because you've been playing frequently, but you haven't been winning,
Yeah.
so they've rewarded you for playing. Congratulations to you. Yeah, you played today?
No, I'll play, but I'll play it.
I mean, you have to play. Then I come and go. Maybe you might just win 20,000 to add to that. Baba.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So there you have it. I'll call the third person before we go to the phone lines. Let me call the third person. Okay, this is the third person who has been awarded 1,000 Liberian dollars as a frequent player as well. So what you can do for yourself is to dial *799 *80 hash, *799 *80 hash, and win for yourself 20,000 Liberian, 100 Liberian dollars. Hello, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good. My name is Diamond Slanger. I'm calling you from the Spoon Network. You received $1,000 from the Radio Game.
Yeah. I received $1,000.
Congratulations. That is because you are a frequent player. You play today?
Not today, I have not yet played.
I mean, you get it cheaper. Reinvest the man. Reinvest. You might just win 20,000.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All right. So we've gotten 2 out of our 3 frequent winners. Players, I should say. Let's now go to the phone lines and take at least 5 callers. What's your recommendation to President Boyka? Do you think the president has still got time to fight corruption in Liberia? Hello?
Yeah, good evening, Damo.
Yes, sir. Let's hear you out, please.
And good evening to your many listeners.
Yeah.
Damo, this is Morris Mongai, and I call you from Jacobstown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Damo, firstly, let me be clear here. People like Prince Kepler, who saw all the corruption in the past government, who did not speak about the corruption, he does not have the balls to speak on anything to do. Unless us, I'm a strong supporter of this government. I brought this government to power. Whatever the government goes wrong, I will come and say, look, the issue at local and post-in telecommunication, I think Sekou Dougle did, to buy those kind of buses for employees.
No, it's not Sekou Dougle, Sekou Kroma.
Sekou Kroma, I'm sorry, Sekou Kroma. That was Rostoling King of Property and Maker. She bought 2 vehicles for she and Sekou Kroma. They need to be thoroughly investigated. The government, this president, needs to take the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission for thorough investigation. If they are found culpable, let the full weight of the law fall. This government will bring change, and as such, we expect our president to live up to that change. We expect us to Liberia. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Let's take this next person quickly. Hello?
How you doing, sir?
I'm fine. Let's hear you out. What's your take on the president's fight against corruption, and what's your recommendation to President Boyka?
And I'm phoning from Benin Farm. Quickly to the issue. The president has to look at the Justice Ministry. The Justice Ministry has been causing so many problems for corruption fighting in Liberia. The judges are in cahoots with those criminals who steal the country money. So if the president do not come hard on some of those judges, the fight of corruption will not be realized. Thank you.
Last caller. Hello, let's hear you out.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon to you. Let's hear you out. What's your take on the president's fight against corruption, and what's your recommendation to President Boyka?
Thank you very much. You know, my disappointment, my greatest disappointment, last week, Nimba County Lawrence, Darrell, these people that sacrifice their blood for this unity party.
Mm.
This woman was disgraced. People, the sedition used to call her Upojo here.
Sir,
She
let's
told
leave
Liberty
that now.
Party
You can't
for
be going
unity
back to the
party.
same thing that you said was wrong.
Why
Just go
are
straight
they,
to the point.
listen, why are they sitting down and they allow the women for people to be around the women to destroy this government? What are they doing? They should tell the party, people that are destroying this government, let him remove them. Let him remove them, because there are people in Liberia that don't want to see this country. You want for the president to leave for the executive mansion, go to Nukase, you move here, you avoid corruption. No.
All right, sir.
We ourselves have to build this country. But the Liberians themselves don't want to do it. The president will be going from office to office. You in corruption, move from there. You in corruption, move from there. The people that sacrifice their life for this, for the party, for unity party and this government here, let it tell the party, look, move Party Hannah. Party Hannah can be ordered making $15,000. You can't do that. You move those people that don't have love for the country.
Thank you.
You tell the party to move those people. Let them move there. The party can't be going around telling you, you corrupt, move, you move. No.
All right,
People
sir. Thank you.
can't be around the party to tell you, let it dismiss those people. Let it dismiss them.
All right, sir. Thank you. I'm sorry, but I'm out of time as well. But we'll be back tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for listening. Tomorrow we'll be back with another edition of The Pause. This is our country, Liberia, and we must discuss issues holistically. We must discuss issues that do affect us. Others will say, when the people think that they do that thing, it affects you. When money that is supposed to go to the clinic that's near you to provide you with good health care is being used to purchase an escort vehicle for holidays and for weekends. If your parents, your friends, your relatives, their safety is compromised by a minister who went and bought iron-seated keke instead of buses, because since 1847, the ministry lacked buses, so it was better to bring substandard buses. We're talking about the welfare of our people and of a country that we all call home. My name is Diamond Slanger. On this note, I bid you farewell, and I'll be back tomorrow with another edition of The Pause. This is where the heartbeat of the nation is heard. Have for yourselves a wonderful day, and bye-bye.